talk about the VOD and the silver screen. Kevin and Tom and Joe know all there is to know, from masterpieces to deep fried tacos. And if the movie sucks, you might hear them say, there's no telling where the guys will take you. Get ready for a spoiler. Won't say it twice, cause we already warned you. Better watch out, it's gonna ruin the plot. Real spoilers. Real spoilers. Real spoilers.
Broadcasting from the lush but not lavish studios located in the basement of the O'Keefe Institute for Advanced Film Snarkitude, this is Real Spoilers, episode 686, Ambulances.
Ambulance.
It's ambulance.
Yeah, what a weird title sequence that was.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to. There's
Yeah.
a lot of weirdness.
I think they do that because they're going to do an NCIS kind of thing. There'll be an Ambul NYNCE.
Knee.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if you've locked into the L.A., you pretty much have Los Angeles and Louisiana, and you're done.
That's
right.
Well, if there's anything that can limit the number of spinoffs, I think we should embrace it.
I agree.
I agree.
So let's go around the table and everyone can introduce themselves.
This is Joe.
This is Kevin.
And this is Tom, and
This is Paul.
I don't even know how many times you've been on the show at this point.
Enough.
We were saying you should get like the gold jacket, like on SNL
He's
or
the
something.
fifth Beatle of Real Spoilers.
Except that would
Thank
mean-
you.
And if you'd like Paul to get a gold jacket,
Make one and send it to him.
check out
There it is.
patreon.com/real spoilers. Where for $5 a month you get all sorts of bonus content, and Paul will get a gold jacket if enough of you do it.
Gold
Now
jacket,
remember,
green jacket. Who gives? Oh.
The color will be gold.
Yes, I was
not
gonna say,
the
we should say
material. So just
A golden jacket.
yes.
Let's Well, but if enough of you join,
Maybe.
Well, never say never.
I gotta tell you,
Yes.
if we get enough to make a gold jacket, we've done something wrong.
Yeah. And then I get to go see Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
we do one episode and then we're gone.
That's right.
We're all heading to the Costa Rica.
The Costa Rica.
Oh.
Adios,
Hey, what's that guy?
muchachos.
What's that guy doing over there with all those bats?
So, shameless plugs. I haven't even started them, and I already did one. That's a first.
Ta-da.
Yeah, you're right.
So don't forget, we're available on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find your podcasts, you can find us. While you're there, be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. Maybe leave a review behind. You could also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/real spoilers. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and if you want to do something that helps us out that doesn't cost anyone any money, I guess except for the cost of your phone or computer and internet service and
Is
electric.
that even a thing anymore?
Phones and computers?
Well, I mean, like
I
phone-
literally have a computer in front of your face. That
I
I'm
mean,
working
like
on it.
paying for computer minutes or phone, like minutes on
You
your
just
phone.
got to pay for your internet.
I guess that's true.
But you
He's
don't have
like,
to pay.
I just
you don't
show
pay-
up.
Your wife pays
Yeah.
the bills, doesn't
Oh,
she?
absolutely.
Yeah.
He's like, I
You're not gonna
just
put me
show
in
up.
charge of that. Are you crazy?
It works. I type things in. They come up. I don't know how.
But you
I
don't
don't know
pay
how it
individually for talk, text, and data. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
that's
let's
gone.
not go over this month.
Don't call me until after 9 p.m.
Yeah.
They do. They do. If you get their services like Track Phone, those prepaid minutes, and they're not all unlimited plans. Some of them
Because
actually.
Kevin's a drug dealer.
I would say when you get your burner
he
phone.
knows all about burner phones.
Well, yeah, I have to do a lot of research for movies where they say, "Hand me my burner phone." Oh, it's this guy, but then he's in their contact list because that's how burner phone works. You got to keep your contacts up to date.
You need like one. That's the point of a burner phone. You
Yeah.
get
Oh,
one.
it's Knucklehead. Make sure to put Knucklehead in the burner phone. God, dumbest movie ever. Oh, I'm sorry. Continue.
So we're shameless plugs. League of Show Sharers. Yeah, you should share an episode. That's the long and short of this.
There it is.
And people who were kind enough to share an episode this week: Travis Tewitt, Ralph Tribble, Chris Falls, Julianne Jordan, Tammy Sherman Powers, Chris Magic Man, Heather Sachs, Tom Dowdy, Gabriel Lugo, Heather Sachs, Chris Williams, Nostalgia Cast, Invasion of the Remake, Spoiler Piece Theater, Mike and Oscar, We Have a Hulk, Cinema Recall, Ronnie Castle, Geek to Me Radio, In Session Film, Matt Neglia, Binge Movies, B. Garner, and Feelin' Film. So thank you very much. We greatly appreciate it. And Oh, I would do Patreon, but I already did it.
Well, I will say that
I won't subject you to it twice.
There's one episode that's in the can, and one episode has been recorded and not edited yet. And I say edited very loosely because we don't edit those. And then there'll be Matt and I are going to do finally the 2022 Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I got to tell you, he was chomping at the bit to talk about that movie. I do have something else lined up. After that, I think a friend of the show and my best friend, Brian Sprath, and I are going to do a recast episode where we're going to take a certain superhero that had a movie in 1978 and recast the entire thing with current day actors, a new director, composer, writers, the whole shebang.
Condor Man.
Exactly.
Swamp Thing.
Oh, Paul, I would love nothing more than to do a Swamp Thing recast.
Except for Adrienne Barbeau.
Yes, why would you recast her?
Adrienne Barboobs.
Yes.
Yeah, she got
those get to stay.
She got put in that movie for
from
two
that
reasons.
time frame.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm
Yes.
sure they're fine for what they are today, but we're casting the net wide.
John Carpenter
Hold
knew
on.
what he was doing.
I'm getting a call from Standards and Practices. They invented it for our podcast only.
We invented our own HR department.
So anyway, there's all that. Let's dig in to just a soft reboot of Mother Jugs and Speed.
Oh my God! So
I was like, come on, the only guy older than me has to get that joke.
You know,
a good movie.
sometimes when I come on this show, I don't know how the three of you felt about a movie. This is the first time he said the name of the movie, and we all went,
I mean, they threatened to talk about it, but we've really got to talk about it now. It didn't seem real until this moment.
it's crazy. It's not crazy because it's Michael Bay at this point, right? And that dude is almost untouchable. Everything that he does,
He's never not made a profit.
yeah. I mean, those Transformers movies, as terrible as they got, we're still making billions of dollars, right? Because overseas,
the Age of the Knights or whatever that King Arthur
fourth
one was,
right?
$600 million on a $200 million budget. I mean,
Pain and Gain.
Pain and Gain.
I mean, they've all been profitable.
And he has a style, right?
The first hour of that was good.
Oh, right. And I think this is kind of in the same vein as Pain and Gain, where you get to a certain point with these characters, you're like, you're all bad guys.
Right.
I understand your motivation at one point. It makes sense. But
This movie was so bad, they want you to root for the bank robber, or at least one of them.
Yeah.
And then you end up kind of not rooting for him, and then
Right.
you end up kind of not rooting for the girl trying to save. By the end, I wasn't even rooting for the 6-year-old. Just on general principle.
You know
Wow.
what, you know what's
Yeah.
an interesting... It's an interesting idea that nobody has ever tapped into yet. In the current climate of how people feel about police officers, they've never doubled down on bad cops. And I think that's a premise that would kind of work, right? If the cops are the bad guys and you've kind of got a Robin Hood-esque bank robber,
Right.
that's a story that could work in 2022 because I don't think you can make hero cops right now. I don't think it's a thing that anybody wants to see.
Well, they kind of did that. What was the name of that movie? It was it was about a I
can't tell if you're going to hit me with some sarcasm right
no,
now.
No. It was a black female cop, and she figures out that basically all the cops around her are dirty, and
that
I don't
does
think it was
ring
very
a
good. I think it
bell.
got pretty bad reviews, but I was it was an interesting premise. And
I think it was called Black Serpico.
Yeah, I know, right? But I think that they know that they'll just get lit up in the
Maybe
right hemisphere of the political spectrum. If you made a movie like that, if you made a movie if you made Smokey and the Bandit today, conservatives would their pants.
There's no way
They
couldn't do
would
it.
be apoplectic. Laura Ingram's head would explode if you made Smokey and the Bandit today. If you could pick up that movie in time, erase it from 1978, and move it to today, they would lose they would just go insane.
Cast a black actor as
no,
Smokey? Oh.
you could pick up that movie through somehow if you made that exact same movie today, if it had never existed, they would be like, you have no respect for police, and you're ridiculing the men in blue, and like
That's funny.
By the way, it's no longer illegal to transport Coors, so why is this even a movie?
But it should be.
Oh man,
Just for Coors.
Just for Coors.
Just for
right.
Coors.
That's because it's gross.
How have they not remade that movie yet somehow? Just
I
to
don't
get
know.
the product.
That's
placement?
a good question. Because you can't do it you can't make a movie about transport
period. It would
beer.
just have
I
to
guess that's
be-
true. You'd have to go back to
Period.
Set in that time period, or you could have it be weed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. We would work. Yeah, that's a good point. But I just
Kind
think,
of, but now there's not even that much.
Yeah, I
reason
guess,
to
But
do
I don't
that,
know that you
but-
could transport it.
True.
I don't think you
Oh.
can move it from state to state like that.
That's true, but it's
You know?
just becoming more
Because
like,
that's the thing. Because that was what made Smokey and the Bandit kind of work. Is like they're moving beer. Like
Right.
nobody's like, oh my god, beer! You're destroying the nation. It was just
we're out of prohibition at this
it's not.
point.
Yeah, it's not prohibition.
It was this dumb little antiquated quirk of the law that made them be able to do something bad that
Right.
nobody really cared about.
But they're not even being pursued because they're carrying beer.
Right.
They're being pursued because the sheriff's son has lost
Right.
the woman he was going to marry in
Right.
Sally Field. That's it.
Yeah.
Nobody at any point in that movie says, and by the way, that's a truck full of Coors. What? Get him!
right.
Man, that movie's so good.
Because ultimately, it was really just about them. They know they have to speed to do it. They could be carrying anything.
Sure.
The Coors upped the ante a little bit. Because in the second one, they weren't carrying anything illegal. It was an elephant.
I've never seen the second one.
Oh, boy.
So
the
this,
second one's not bad. It's not as good as the first one.
But the
It's
third
not
one.
the third one. The second one is what Cannonball Run
Does he come
2
back?
should have been.
Does Burt Reynolds come back for two?
Yeah, everybody's
Oh, okay,
back for
okay.
the second one. It's the third
isn't that
one.
one Smokey is the bandit?
So the third one was supposed to be Smokey is the Bandit, and they filmed it without Burt Reynolds, and then Jackie Gleason was the whole premise was he was doing the run and
Okay.
impersonating the Bandit, and they got it completely done, and it was a hot mess, and so they reached out to Jerry Reed, and they were like, "We'll give you all this money if you come in and film some scenes we could splice in between."
Oh.
And so then. And then now he's impersonating the Bandit, and it's just nonsensical if you try to watch the third one, because it was an entirely different film, and then they filmed all these Jerry Reed scenes to drop in between. But for a long time, it was apocryphal. Like, people didn't know if the Smokey is the Bandit was even real, and then somebody actually a few years ago found the original trailer,
It's like that Jerry Lewis
teaser
movie.
trailer for Smokey is the Bandit.
I gotcha.
And then they but
Yikes.
yeah.
You know, if you type that into IMDb, it says no.
So Michael Bay, I think he early in his career, there was nobody that was filming movies like him. Like, he was doing things with,
Bad
with
Boys.
the camera, Bad Boys, The Rock. Which I got to tell you, the fact that they reference The Rock in
don't
this
even
movie,
get me started.
go
We-
suck it.
we just talked about this. They even reference Bad Boys. They say Bad Boys.
Yeah,
in this
they do.
movie.
Do they?
When
Yeah.
cops get out of the car, they're like,
Oh,
"Oh, Bad
yeah.
Boys here." Or whatever.
Has there ever been like a time when a director has referenced his own stuff, like in a different movie?
I don't know. It's so stupid. I just brought this up the other day, and it wasn't the director, but talking about other movies that exist. And I said, oh, sometimes the actors are in it, and they mention a movie they're in,
Oh,
but they're
sure,
not playing the actor. So it's like, but yeah, he went and took it to a whole new level, and is just referencing his own movies.
About how great it is. Now, it is great. The Rock is fantastic.
if you say so. But the problem
You never
is,
what?
when you're in a movie theater, I'm watching a movie. I don't want to be reminded that what I'm watching is a fake universe. Like, I don't want to be reminded, like, oh, there's other movies that exist this director has directed. I want to be in the story with the characters and everything. You know, it takes you out knowing there's a movie called The Rock that exists, directed by Michael Bay, and I'm in a Michael Bay movie.
So, okay, so what about if you're watching, I don't know, a James Cameron movie and they reference The Rock?
It's not as bad. I mean, it's definitely not as bad as this.
I'm
but
just
I
like,
just,
What if the movies share a gaffer?
ooh. As long as I don't know until the credits hit, it's fine.
I
But-
was surprised.
no, wait.
I was surprised that neither of the main characters in this said, "I think we're headed for Armageddon."
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. But wait, so how do you... Last Action Hero does it all the time.
But that is a satire.
That's the premise of the film.
Okay,
See what I mean?
Like
When
that, like
we talked about that the other day too. It's like when the movie is leaning into the satirical
I'm with
nature
you.
or a commentary of something, it's fine. But these people are just straight up referencing movie quotes and actors, and we're in a movie directed by that director. It's
Right.
just it's not funny. It's not clever.
No.
it's stupid.
There's nothing funny about
But
this
and
movie.
I think it speaks to the self-aggrandizing, like the nature of Michael Bay. He's so self-indulgent in these scenes, and there are so many shots throughout this entire film that are in there because they look cool, in
Yeah.
quotes, and don't move the story forward. I mean, did Michael Bay get a new drone for Christmas?
Yes, he did.
Because I'm telling you, those stupid shots going up and down buildings
And
that
like
don't-
turning upside down.
and they
Yeah.
don't even help to set the geography of what's going on. Like, I could not tell where they were at any time in the city of LA, and those were not like cool establishing shots. They were just, no, let's go up and down a building
Yeah.
and then cut to
I
something
mean, it did
else.
look cool.
I mean, yeah, but
there were some cool shots, and I got to tell you, most of this is practical. It has to be. Like a lot of these effects and the stunts and everything are practical stunts, which I appreciate.
But I don't think they're good stunts. Like,
I don't know about that.
2 cop cars. Oh, it's a dead end. Oh, let's keep going. Oh, we went off the side. Okay. Oh, a cop car, it flipped over and it's kind of off center to the right. And
So
okay.
what drove me insane about this movie was the
editing?
Oh,
my
man.
God,
Oh.
this thing was edited within an inch of its life. There is so much editing.
I have 5 pages of notes. Number 1 note: incoherent editing throughout the film.
Yes.
Number 1 note.
And they're just, not only is it incoherent, but it's just nonstop. Once the action starts, I mean, I don't think you get a shot longer than a full second.
No, I agree.
The problem is he films, of course, with practical stunts. They're filming stuff from a lot of angles, but it's not even that he's cutting to different angles. He's doing like different takes, and he will show a car or a person, and then he will cut to the same angle with a different take right after the last one. Like, there is no, you're not changing views, you're not changing characters. It's just like he's just cutting things up in
Yeah.
a way that
Yeah.
it looks so messy.
In the review that I wrote for my website, I started off with, if I were ever considered to be the editor for a Michael Bay movie, I would have a contract that says you pay me $1 per edit. I'd be a millionaire.
Yeah, you would.
It's so interesting because
I can't even imagine what it's like to edit like
Oh.
this. There are so many edits.
But
There
it's,
are 3 editors, by the way. I checked the credits.
No.
3
There
different
has to
people
yeah,
be.
to edit one movie.
because the first two died.
I mean, films don't usually have more than one editor.
No.
I mean, there is clearly not a singular vision with the editing in this film. And there are things in this movie that are messy, too, where it's not just like quick cuts, which there are a lot, but
Yeah.
it's not just that. There's one scene where Jake Gyllenhaal is going through a garage with 2 guns.
oh,
And then the next scene it cuts to, he has 1 gun in his hand
Yep.
running around. It's like they're doing
Where did you get
time-
that?
Yeah, but they're just doing time jumps to where they're not. I mean, you're talking about 2 guns, cut 1 gun. I mean, it's not like any kind of a time jump that's meant to be. It's like messy. It's just messy.
and Jake Gyllenhaal, I think, is a fantastic actor.
Can be.
Yeah, and I think for the most part he'd found his footing when he's doing like Prisoners and he's doing Nightcrawler and things
Yeah.
like that. And I think he can also be very funny. I think what was the one with Anne Hathaway? Oh, damn it! Where he's like
What
the
kind of-
pharmaceutical salesman,
Love
and
the-
other drugs.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I think he's a great like smarmy kind of, but with a heart of gold.
That's
right?
an underrated movie, by the way.
I agree with you. I totally agree. I'm happy he got paid
Yeah.
because I don't know what he's
doing the same thing he did in Spider-Man, though.
Oh, see, I liked him in Spider-Man.
But it's still that crazy Jake Gyllenhaal. He's doing that thing
Yeah.
where he's like, I'm just, he just can't contain the craziness. And I don't like him in that type of role. I don't think it.
Sure.
It just
No,
don't think it
he's
fits.
terrible in this movie, and that's not. He's doing his thing.
There's moments there's moments where okay, that's pretty funny, but then there's other moments where I'm like, oh, it's just.
Yeah,
doesn't-
what are we doing?
Also,
here?
I think they're improving sometimes when he and Yahya are in the car museum or whatever he works at. You know, they're like talking over each other, and he's saying the lines like twice because I don't think Yahya knows how to like fire
like,
his
"Hey, man,
line back.
get back to the
So
script."
he says it, and then he's in the middle of talking, and then Yahya says his line, and Jake says it again over him, and then he has to repeat his, and they left it in, and I'm thinking like I don't think that was scripted that way. It's just messy.
In the words of Tom O'Keefe, this movie is like a Michael Bolton. Like he just goes from 0 to 100 and just stays at 100 and does not stop.
There's no modulation.
There is
like
nothing.
like the first 15 minutes of this movie are like establishing in air quotes,
right.
and then once they start the robbery, it is just
And the robbery starts 20 minutes.
yeah.
Like he's in the garage, and we're all of a sudden he's the driver of this robbery.
And I think if you like these sorts of movies, you'll probably like this movie.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But
But there's so much better types of movies,
Absolutely.
right? So, like,
That's
yeah.
where we're at.
so this movie so badly wants to be Heat. and isn't Heat.
Yeah.
And everything about it reminds you, in L.A., the bank heist, them out in the streets with the guns, but it's not Heat. And if you remember, Heat has quite a bit of character development and story before the heist.
A lot of it.
And this movie just jumps into the heist, and then it becomes Speed, and they want you to care about the characters, and these characters do have an arc, and there's a lot of them, but I never felt invested because they never spend enough time with the characters. It's just go, 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 and I think that really does a disservice to the story because there is something here, and this is a remake of a Danish film.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, and the Danish film's 80 minutes.
Yeah.
It's two brothers in an ambulance.
Well,
Same.
But I was like, but what's the one brother's deal? Because they got socialized medicine over there. Like, he's got no motivation to rob the bank.
That special surgery, no problem.
Yeah, she needs the cancer surgery.
Do they say cancer?
And later there's like one line where they say cancer.
Because I missed that. My second note is wife needs experimental surgery for what?
Yeah, like but
Yeah.
they're like
Nondescript
They
experimental.
can't put it in because of HIPAA.
yeah.
Oh.
But like she needs this surgery and she needs it right away for cancer. But she doesn't look sick.
That's what I'm
in
saying.
any way.
Yes, that's
She's
exactly what I was going to say.
Carrying that baby the whole
She looks
movie.
totally
Like,
fine
not
the
that
whole
you
time.
Can't have cancer and still be able to function. But like if it's
But if
like
it's a desperate,
they're making it sound like it's down to the wire.
Have her sitting down or something. Like
Yeah.
she's standing up the entire time holding that baby
Right.
all around
nonstop.
town, yeah.
Nonstop.
That's
Anytime
why
we see her.
That's
what
why
she's
this
doing.
movie's bad because it's not the concept. The 80-minute Danish film, I did watch it.
Didn't they do that with Taxi? Am I making that
Yeah,
up?
that's
No,
a French-
Taxi was a French, and it's huge. I mean, they made like three or four.
Yeah.
of them
Yeah,
in
yeah,
France.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's an 80-minute film. It's very tight. It's very simple. But it's just a lot of talking between these two brothers. And yeah, there's car chases and stuff like that. But the movie doesn't depend on them. Like this movie lives and dies on you just want to see explosions and Michael Bay stuff. Whereas the other film is more about the brothers and how their relationship is this way. And it's very similar. One's been in jail and all that. They're trying to get heart surgery for their mother. So they need to steal the money because like the mother's heart is about to go out, which seems like a better motivation to me than
Because now
nondescript.
both brothers have motivations. They tried to flip it to where there's good brother, bad brother, where
Yeah.
I guess in the original, like they're both trying to
Yeah,
save
and
their
one
money.
has been in jail, so there is one that's a little worse and is kind of convinced the better brother to go in on it. But they both have this at stake. But it's them going back and forth, and then there are questions like they get in this ambulance and they don't know there's a woman and a man who's had a heart attack in the back. So instead of a cop that's been shot,
Well, don't take that guy's heart because it's useless.
yeah. So they've got that in the back, and then they're pretty much doing the same kind of thing. It ends in a very similar way, not the exact ending, but So to me it worked better in that concept. Like the story's there, it can be a very good story and good characterization and everything. And this movie, I just didn't find myself caring about.
No,
them.
they don't do enough to make it. The only person they spend any real time on is it Camille?
Yeah, Cam, they
Whatever
call
the
her, yeah.
ambulance driver's name is.
She's the best actor in this movie. I
don't
she was
disagree.
great.
No.
Oh.
Nope. That
No?
6-year-old girl. That girl was so good.
What 6-year-old girl?
I was thinking she was really good
In the
girl-
opening scene?
in that
Yeah,
opening scene.
That opening, because when that
that's
scene
fair.
starts, this opening scene with her rescuing this
Yeah,
girl
yeah,
from the
yeah.
car wreck, I was like, hey, like I was encouraged.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a good scene. Like
Yeah,
this,
yeah,
like
yeah,
maybe
that was
we
a good
got
scene.
something here.
She's
And
just
then-
not in it much, but I agree.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing in the theater. I'm like, she's good.
Well, when we
Yeah.
see her again, she's comatose. So,
Yeah.
but
Well, at least at least this movie followed up on the child in the hospital
true. That's
because
a good
Morbius
point.
does the exact same thing in the beginning of the movie with a sick child, and he puts her into a coma, and you never hear from her again.
no, isn't he sitting next to her when Matt Smith attacks the nurse? He's sitting in next to her when Matt Smith attacks that
Yeah,
nurse.
you do see her again, but not.
But they never follow up on
no,
her
they never
condition.
do.
Yeah,
No,
right.
They never make sure she's okay.
Yeah, it's
So there's a giant plot thread that is in this movie where the EMT, I think they call her Cammy.
yeah, it's Cam.
Is she's looking at her phone and she's looking at the bank.
It's Eiza González.
She was in something else that we just did.
She was in the Netflix movie I Care a Lot with Rosamund Pike.
I love
She
that.
Oh yeah, that was
in
great. That was a really
great
good
movie.
But she was
also in the overrated Baby Driver.
there. It is.
Baby Driver.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if it's overrated, but unfortunately,
I thought it was good, but
Yeah.
yeah, Eiza González.
So she's sitting at like this restaurant, looking at her phone, looking at her bank balance, and she looks disgusted, right? Because she's got like $200 in it, right?
Let's not talk about product placement in this movie.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. I was just meant, like looking at her phone.
Oh, sir.
Was her ATM information entirely in Chinese?
Oh, I don't know.
Do you remember that?
What was that?
It was a Michael Bay Transformers movie.
Oh, sure.
Because they had sold some sort of product placement in China, and like Wahlberg goes to check his ATM balance or something, and it's like the machine is in Chinese, and they just show it for a split second, but it's just like
that's funny.
Why is this in Chinese? You're in Texas.
This movie, hey, what's with that Corvette?
Hey,
I got these new Keurig machines. Let me make you a coffee. Oh, I have no money on my Oxygen mobile banking app. Oh, you're drinking a Heineken. It's non-alcoholic. Here's the label. Oh, who wears Birkenstocks to a robbery? That's the first 10 minutes of the movie.
I think the Birkenstock joke worked.
Okay, but it's a product placement.
Sure.
And
that's the only reason for it to work.
Those things are all in the beginning of the movie.
And Keurigs aren't new. Like, he's acting like it's space age technology.
Right.
This one cup coffee maker.
We know Michael Bay is not subtle with product placement, but this
Michael Bay's not subtle.
I know, but with
could have stopped right there.
But we've seen Mark Wahlberg crash into a Bud Light truck, pick one up, drink it, and go, delicious. Like, we know it's not subtle, but this is like grotesque.
Do you think he's
product
being cute?
placement?
Like, do you think he's being cute to do that? Like, look, it's a like Wayne's World when he's like, look, the choice of the new generation.
I think he's doing it non-ironically.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
It's gross in a movie that it's that obvious. So, you've got those jokes. We've got the product placement. We've got the drones. Isn't Josh Duhamel in those Transformer movies? Because I swear that guy was Josh Duhamel, the captain of the police or whatever. He's not Josh Duhamel.
Josh Duhamel is in... I think he'd been in all of them except for the Marky Mark one.
And I feel like they're like, hey, put this guy in a hat and sunglasses. He looks and talks like kind of like
Josh
Josh
that
Duhamel.
guy too.
I know. I think
because Josh Duhamel is in that thing about Pam right now, isn't he?
Is he?
Oh, is he?
I think he plays her defense.
Okay.
I
think
the defense attorney of the husband that she framed.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh,
which if you're not watching is really.
I
good.
need to get.
Yeah,
it.
St. Louis story. It's crazy. Story.
It is a crazy story, but it's like I thought because I knew the story. I'm like, I don't know that this will hold my interest.
Yeah.
And it's really it's really well done.
Who is that? Renee Zellweger?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the best part is that it's narrated by Keith Morrison.
That's even better.
How brilliant is that?
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
I love Keith Morrison.
Okay, so the premise of this movie though. So Yahya's wife needs this treatment, right? And so he's a veteran.
He's a Marine. He's retired Marine Corps. He can't get anybody on the phone, which is probably the most realistic thing of this entire movie.
Yeah.
Is trying to get somebody through the VA to help you.
Except then the phone blows up.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make any
The
sense.
phone explosion
also
didn't make any sense, but it was really cool the way it was captured by a drone.
But I also like how he's actually talking to the VA, and then she's like, "I can't help you." Click. Like they just hung up on him. Okay, I know it's hard, but I think they at least go, "Sir, is there anything else I can do for you?" Like,
and the lady actually said, "Click."
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, click.
Maybe he won't notice. I can't hang up on him, but if I say click,
and then Yahya's thinking, well, maybe that's the problem. She's looking me up under Click. She thinks my name is Click.
No, it's that movie. They were just trying to mention Click.
Yeah,
That's what they do.
They wanted to get Adam Sandler to reference this movie.
I wish Christopher Walken was in this movie, dancing up and down the streets.
Is that in that movie?
No, but I mean, he does it in that Fat Boy Slim music video.
That's true. I was like, man, I didn't know what was happening. That was. So he gets a phone call from an unknown number. She says, "You better not answer that." He said, "I didn't." It's because we know it's Danny. He's going to see Danny at this, so he goes to see Danny.
When anybody's wife says, "Don't do this," absolutely, I swear I would never do that. I don't know why you would think I would do that.
I'm gonna go do that.
Cut. Michael Bay cut. Half a second later, here he is with Danny
on the phone. Yeah, I'm on my way.
But here's the deal. So he needs this surgery. He can't get help. So he shows up at Danny's doorstep on the day of the biggest heist of Danny's life, 5 minutes before they're about to leave for the heist.
Yeah.
And wait a minute, all the other thugs out of Central Casting go, is he the guy? No. Okay, so they were expecting another guy. He didn't show up, but Yahya shows up 5 minutes before they leave, and they would just trust this guy without knowing any plans.
Right. They've not gone over one.
He has no idea what he's doing.
Ounce of the plan with this.
He has no clue.
Cool, just come along. You can drive well.
I was so happy when the one driver guy got killed.
Which guy?
The
stereotypical New York guy in L.A.
The stereotypical New York Italian guy who has to who's like Vinny Exposition.
Yeah,
he's just like, oh, look at this Mom Luke right here.
Yeah,
like, who was this cop doing here right before the bank opens?
Yeah,
I don't understand.
When he said Mama Luke, and I was like, that's not even a phrase anybody uses anymore.
Yeah,
I haven't heard that in 10 years.
But yeah, it's just ridiculous. So like, okay, I get that Yahya's hard up for money. So he's the adoptive brother of Jake Gyllenhaal. Their dad was a bank robber. He took in this
He was
kid.
a vicious bank robber.
Yeah. So you know who Yahya's character was supposed to be played by?
Will Smith.
Dylan O'Brien, who we all know and love and Monsters.
Oh man.
Oh, okay.
That would have been kind of
And
interesting.
he dropped out. Yahya is a great actor. Like he was in the new Candyman.
He was.
Watchmen.
Watchmen,
He was
he's
fantastic.
amazing in
He's the bad
Watchmen.
guy in Aquaman.
He was in Trial of the Chicago 7. He
Yeah.
was Bobby Seale.
Oh,
Yeah.
He is Black Manta, isn't he?
Yeah, he's Black Man.
They
He's
just call him Manta, but
yeah. He's a phenomenal actor. So
That's
like I have no.
probably for the best.
yeah.
I liked seeing him in this movie because I like
Get
him.
paid, man.
But I mean, he's good for what he's given. I don't have any problem with him. So that's not the problem at all. But anyway, he gets recast. He's in the movie. That's how they explain it. They have
Did they say why Dylan O'Brien dropped out?
to just do another project?
Good for him.
But every character in this
We
movie,
didn't want to tell you, Joe, but he's making
Nightwing.
Love and Monster Squad.
So, wait.
Ah.
All right. You have my attention. I don't know how that's going to work, but I'm in.
But, they have to have 3 or 4 characters say like, "You don't look like his brother." Like,
That is true. They do say that a lot. How are you guys brothers? Oh, God. Yeah. It's obvious what the deal is.
even
like, good
it's
Lord.
like, come on, yes, there's such thing as adoptive brothers. Like,
Right.
come on, you don't have. And then Jake
It's like
Gyllenhaal-
they've never seen. You've never watched an episode of This Is Us.
Yeah. So they've got to get, so they go in, there's the guy doesn't show up. Yahya coincidentally shows up right before they let him be a part of this $32 million robbery that they've been planning. Okay, I would have liked a little bit of info. How does he know how to plan these heists? Where did he get the information? They all know how to, like, I like
Well,
in
it looks,
heists.
I mean, from what
I mean,
they do kind of say that
they
when
do explain that.
Jamie Bell shows up, who I don't think I've seen since Josh Trank's The Fantastic Four.
Jamie Bell's in this movie?
Isn't he the
I do not think so, but you could be right.
Isn't he the Fed?
That's Jamie Bell?
I think so.
No, that's
No.
Keir O'Donnell,
Oh.
FBI agent Anson Clark.
Then what is man?
I don't know, but I was like, oh.
Oh, but Jamie Bell wasn't the Fantastic Four, right?
Yes.
He played Ben Grimm.
Although it
Did
says here, Keir O'Donnell began his career as a Jamie Bell impersonator.
Oh,
Excellent.
that's
Thank
fair.
you. That's what I thought. All right, cool.
No.
But he says
I want to
that-
know how he planned this heist. I'm just saying,
Oh.
like, that's why with these heist movies, you get a little bit of setup. You got the guy that knows how to get in, the guy that is good at the security systems or all that.
What do
like,
you think?
Look,
the best,
if you can't crash a car during a setup, we're not doing it.
yeah.
what do you think the best heist movie is?
Oh, geez. I mean, I think Heat is up there.
Yeah, it's fair.
I mean,
I was
Heat
thinking Ocean's 11.
the Ocean's movies.
Inside Man.
Inside Man's
Man's
real good.
great.
That's a good one.
That's one of my favorite Spike Lee movies. It's so good.
You got anything from the 40s or 50s, Tom?
I don't know. I was trying to think.
I'll give you one from the 70s. Going in Style, the original, with
Yeah.
George
Yeah.
Burns and Lee Strasberg and Art Carney.
Yeah.
It's not a heist movie, but there's a bank heist in the middle of it
Okay.
where they're wearing just absolutely goofy stuff they got from some local novelty store.
I mean, I don't know if you
And they're in their 90s.
if you consider it a heist movie. I don't know if it really categorized, but Dog Day Afternoon's
I
one
was
of the
gonna
best
say
movies.
Dog Day
yeah, Dog Day
Absolute
Afternoon is
is so good.
Number one.
that's-
And I mean that's one of my favorite of all time movies. It's
Yeah.
so good. But I mean, Gone in 60 Seconds, The Italian Jobses, those are good heist movies of cars stealing.
Yeah.
But I like to at least have a little bit of setup of, we got the plans from whatever. Here's our guy with the safe. Here's but they kind of just go into it. I don't, you don't need to spend an hour on it, but like they just go in, and I'd like to know
Some process.
how they know how to get in there, cut the security wires, who's doing what. Also, you've got the SWAT team cop guys are actively monitoring this situation because they're going to do this money
Correct.
transfer. And then they have a tracker on Jake Gyllenhaal's Mercedes because they say the Mercedes hasn't moved yet. We know he ditches the Mercedes for the car that the cartel guy drops off, the van that, Italian guy's driving.
Yeah.
But then they don't know who any of these guys are because they're like, all the New York bad guys are dead. These must be the L.A. crew, whatever. But the Mercedes at the place is the one they've been monitoring.
So
How
which
are they
mean-
monitoring them, but then they don't know who he is until the FBI guy says, that's Danny the robber.
Also, they're in
Danny the
L.A. and they
robber.
don't know who the L.A. guys are. They knew the
Yeah,
New
they
York
do.
guys.
Yes. They said the New York crew's dead. This
gotta
must be
tell ya,
the L.A. crew.
There's a New York guy part of the crew.
Yes.
So they have to know who that guy
So
is.
this is the problem where, again, there's a good concept here. Michael Bay can do good explosions and action, but
Yeah.
this story, the way it's written, not to mention the bad dialogue, but just the story beats, like,
It's also, we have seen the way police officers operate over the past 5 to 10 years, right? It's all over the news. When you dress a police officer up the way these guys are dressed up, and the carelessness of how they are just firing rounds at anything that moves, it's like, okay, I can make a pretty good guess as to who Michael Bay voted for.
Yeah.
So whatever, but it's like you have to pay somewhat attention. Like, I understand that the idea of realism in this movie is out the window, but when you were just unloading rounds into wherever,
just the city streets, there are people running everywhere, and the cops are shooting.
This is the complaint about Man of Steel, right? Is like there's just casualties everywhere. Like nobody's stopping people.
Like these guys in the beginning with the money, they have a lot of money. They don't have any hostages. You don't pursue them in the middle of busy, crowded city streets. You pursue them in a helicopter as they're getting away.
At a distance. You don't want them to freak out.
And also when the whole thing is like, oh, we have this injured cop that we can't let die or we're going to pull a murder charge. And it's like, okay, but there has to have been so many dead cops.
When that car...
With all these car crashes.
When that car goes like... It's sawed in half at one point, and I was like, "Well, those guys are dead." Yeah. Like, how do you don't duck and come back from that? Like those cops have literally been decapitated.
And by the way, if we have to protect the cop in the back who's injured, why are we using snipers to shoot at the driver?
Yeah.
What do we think is going to happen after they kill that guy?
While they're moving.
Well, that's when they thought the cop was dead, but there's still a lady back there helping him. There's still an innocent civilian.
Right.
But the fact that they are so aggressive with this chase and shooting into the vehicle, whether it be the snipers or cops with their regular guns or whatever, the helicopter guns, anything, with any civilians on board, it just seems so reckless.
And the chief cop at one point says, and we're not going to use spike strips because one of our fellow brothers, police officers, is in the back of this.
Sniper rifles?
We'll shoot at it, but don't you put those spike strips out.
There were so, I thought at one point we were going to not lose, but like the majority of this SIS team or the feds were going to
SIS, they're the really good ones at trapping people, and they're really sneaky, right?
Correct.
Because I heard that SIS operates
and they wear hoodies and their hats backwards.
Yeah. I learned a lot about SIS in this
What
movie.
is SIS?
I mean, you can have, I think most departments have maybe not St. Louis. We have a SWAT team in St. Louis, but there's from this movie, I assume that these are like the top tier cops who are...
There's no evidence of that.
There's not in this movie. Not in this movie at all. I thought we were going to lose all of those guys. Not like dead, but like they were going to drift away, and we were going to focus on the partner. Like the cop who's in the back of this ambulance has a partner the entire time.
Yeah.
Who's like kind of hinting around this whole thing, but then gets stuck driving a car with a dog in it.
Oh.
And the main cop is like, "Get my dog out of here."
Hold on. They're chasing this ambulance through a parking garage. There is a police officer in the back, and there is an EMT, two innocent hostages back there. They are mad, and they're going to go through and start bumping the car, swiping it, shooting at them. Jake Gyllenhaal is holding a hostage out, and they are not backing off.
That's crazy.
But by God, there is a dog in the back of the car. This is too dangerous. Call it off.
Yep.
The captain only calls it off because his dog is in the car.
Right.
There are two hostages that they don't give a crap about.
No. Well, they say they do. And then they do.
Well, their actions pursuing. I mean, he only calls them off because his dog's in the car. Like, correct. That's a stupid thing, and I don't care. I like dumb movies. There's some very fun dumb movies, but
Michael Bay has made some of them.
Yes, there's nothing wrong with a dumb movie, but this movie goes beyond the cusp of just dumb for action's sake. It's bad. Bad writing.
Yeah. It is bad writing. I will say I think some of the shots are cool. I think using practical effects is amazing. I'm all because that's people getting jobs, right? Like that's stuntmen and everybody. There is a scene where it's supposed to be Jake Gyllenhaal's character hanging out of the ambulance, and I was like, well, that's not Jake Gyllenhaal.
No, not at all.
That's not even close. That's almost as bad as the guy who was Arnold's stunt double when they were driving.
That guy had like a bushy beard. You could clearly tell that.
I noticed the same thing.
Yeah, his big, thick beard.
And by the way, have any of you ever tried to drive in L.A.?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. In this movie, There's no traffic problem anywhere they go.
None whatsoever.
Even in speed,
Yeah.
they have to get the bus off the highway because there's traffic ahead, and they have to keep going 50 miles an hour. In this one, they're doing 75 miles an hour wherever they go, and there's never even a slowdown.
At one point, the head cop is like, "Man, we got to end this before rush hour." I go, "Why?"
Yeah.
Because there's nobody out. Who
Because
cares?
1:30 in the afternoon is worse.
What was with the weird sexual tension between him and that gal in the surveillance truck? That was just weird. You gonna put him in handcuffs? Oh, not the fuzzy kind, the steel ones.
The steel ones.
Like,
Don't get that
what?
Cheeto dust in my hair. Why would I get Cheeto dust in your hair?
You could hide a raccoon in there.
Yeah,
Like, what?
also,
It's
I don't,
just-
that was a weird joke.
That was weird.
Yeah.
I don't. It's just weird. The banter, the stupid banter back and forth was.
Who was that cop, by the way? Have you seen him before?
Yes, a lot.
You're talking about not Josh Duhamel?
Yeah.
He was
Garrett
that-
Dillahunt.
He was the dad on Raising Hope.
Yep.
Okay.
But he's been in all. Like he's one of those character actors that you would see all the time.
Okay.
And stuff.
Okay, how much ammo do these people have?
All of it.
Unlimited.
They've never reloaded once in this
They
movie.
found the cheat code. For
I was gonna
unlimited
say, it's
ammo.
LA. They got the cheat code.
Jake Gyllenhaal is firing automatic weapons nonstop at helicopters, the police cars, at everything. You never see him reload once.
No.
I mean, that's,
And that's-
just,
that's-
I get in movies, but like, this is excessive.
I will say that's an old like 80s trope. But I will say that like in John Wick or The Raid, and those are probably the two of the greatest action movies made in the last.
It's so cool
15
seeing
years.
people reload because it adds realism
and have to
to
keep
action
fighting,
movies. Yeah.
right? Like in The Raid, that guy's trying to reload while people are coming at him.
But like these guys should at least in their ambulance have a duffel bag full of ammo. I
No,
mean,
it's full of money.
There's got to be something though to understand how much they're shooting.
You wanted to see that shot where they take the clip off the gun, they
Slow
look at
motion.
it, they realize only one bullet
Yeah.
left, and they put it back on and kill 3 people.
Yeah, it's a bit ridiculous. Again, action movies where you check your brain. I'm all for it. It doesn't have to be exactly realistic, but it's over a 2-hour movie.
Yeah,
but
this did not need to be 2
Oh.
hours and 16
no
minutes.
way.
The original's
no way.
80 minutes. Like it really gets in and out. It tells the exact same. I mean, pretty much the same story plot points. There's very similar motivation. You've got the two brothers, two people in an ambulance. Like they do it all. And I'm not saying like it's high art. Like I mean, the movie was a fine little dramatic thriller.
The original one.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, it just seemed more effective because there wasn't as much stupidity, and it just wasn't so self-indulgent. Like these action sequences, Michael Bay can do action explosions. We've seen it.
Absolutely.
It can be very fun. But to me, every time I saw a cop car flip over and then it cut 17 different angles and all that, I'm like, what am I watching? I just can't even focus. This movie seems so ADD that I feel like he made it for the TikTok generation or something. You know, like the
I
way
gotta
that
tell
it
you,
moves
man,
so
you may
fast.
not be wrong.
I really do think he's just. Do you remember that 6 Underground movie on Netflix?
Sure do.
It's
Sure,
filmed
it's-
the exact same way. That movie starts.
That's
and
him
it is,
too, right?
It is like, yeah, it is him. That's
Yeah.
since 6 Underground. I think that's his thing now. Doesn't it feel like he just snorted a bunch of coke and just went crazy with
Yes,
this movie?
I think that's how he lives his life.
And Tom, about the 2 hours and 16 minutes, remember, there are 3 editors here. 3 editors couldn't make a shorter movie.
Well, the second guy said, that guy shortened it. We got to put these clips back in. And the other guy goes, whoa, hold on. You just put those clips in? Put double the clips back in. That's
Hey,
what the-
your version only has 3 fruit carts getting driven over. Put the other 2 back in. And they're all in there.
It's crazy because this is the Wrestling Corner. Haven't been there in a while.
Okay.
WWE has changed the way they edit their shows. So, and they do this, right? So if you're watching the ring, there should be just a stationary camera, right? You can move it from side to side. You can do whatever. But they're doing like quick cuts, like between like so
Every
somebody's-
impact has a cut, so you
it's
can't
a cut,
see
and I'm just like,
where
what are
the-
we?
yeah.
What are? And it's watching a Michael Bay movie. I was like, did they just copy what Michael Bay did? Like, hey man, that was cool. Let's try that.
Well, I mean, it's dead
live
on
TV.
demo.
That's true. That's true. I don't know. My theater, I did it in the IMAX because I'm like, it's Michael Bay. This is the way you kind of have to do his movies. I went at like 2:00 on a Friday, and it was empty. There wasn't a single person. I swear, not a single. I'm on my phone, just mucking around because nobody's around.
You didn't have a sociopath sit in the seat next to you?
Did not. No.
So this movie $40 million budget. I mean, that's
Are
impressive.
you serious?
This was a $40 million
This was
movie.
a $40 million movie because it mostly just takes place in the ambulance. So you've got the actors, which must have had a back end deal because I don't know how you pay anyone. I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal and Yahya would get the most of it, I would think. But like $40 million to pay the actors, do the physical stunts.
That's crazy.
You got to give them credit for that.
No, this does not look like a $40 million movie.
This looks like a $200 million movie. I mean, I'm serious.
Or at least $100 million movie.
I would have guessed 100 that they maybe lowballed it and got it done for 75 or 80. I would not have guessed 40.
So that's the good news. The bad news, $8 million opening.
Oh, man.
I mean, the problem is
They saved money by filming during COVID. They didn't have to close any of the streets.
You know,
Yeah, maybe that's it.
You know, Michael Bay doesn't believe in COVID.
So the thing is, it's got a low budget, but it also isn't making a lot, and the movie just doesn't have any stars. Like I talked to Tom about this.
Oh, interesting.
People know who Jake Gyllenhaal is. He's a very good actor.
But when has he ever opened a movie?
Right.
That's fair.
And Yahya,
Bubble Boy.
phenomenal. Yahya's phenomenal in most everything we've seen him in, but there's no name that gets people to go, I'm
going to go see that movie.
Right? So when Michael Bay does a Bad Boys movie or produces a Bad Boys movie or Transformers as IP, there's something that draws people in. And with this one...
Were they names when that first one came out?
Who's that?
Will Smith and Martin Lawrence?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the
Were
two
they?
of them were, yeah.
Yeah, they
Was
both
Will
had hit TV shows.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fair. Okay. That's true. That makes sense.
Will this movie do big overseas?
I
It seems like this is the kind of movie that does big international box office.
That's true. I mean, the action will translate.
bigger.
So yeah, but I think that's the problem with at least the domestic box offices. There's just not the names to draw people in. Michael Bay is the biggest name.
With
but
a $40 million budget, this movie will still make money.
It has to.
By the time they sell it to cable and Netflix and all
Yeah.
that, it will still make.
What was the?
but it won't be great though.
No, it won't be
I
great.
mean-
but I'm just saying, with $40 million, they're going to have a hard time getting hurt.
They still got to make 80 or 100 to break even. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's not like
What was his last massive hit that wasn't a Transformers movie? Like, does he have one that?
I
was,
think 13 Hours is one of the best movies he's ever
13
made.
Hours is really
That
good.
that was the time where I go, okay, Michael Bay's not just doing explosions. I mean, yeah, there were war explosions in it, but it wasn't just gratuitous. It was a really good movie. John
Yeah.
Krasinski was great in it. I thought, wow, we're gonna get some different stuff from Michael Bay.
Actually, you know what? I think this police chief is in 13 Hours.
Probably okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, he had done Pain and Gain, which again, I if it weren't based on a true story, I think I would have liked it a lot more because there were likable things about it. It just makes you feel icky knowing what happened in the real thing. So he did that. He did 13 Hours. It's like, wow, this guy's gonna do some different stuff, but this feels like it's just going back to the old Michael Bay. And
Yeah, I think with Bad Boys and like The Rock, he's not doing this yet. Like, he's got the big set pieces. He's got Nicolas Cage on top of Alcatraz holding up two flares while a plane flies over
And
him.
that's who Jake Gyllenhaal is trying to be, is Nicolas Cage. in this.
Okay.
That's what
That's a fair
he's
argument.
going big.
Yeah, for sure.
But I just think that's a really hard thing to do unless you are someone like a Nicolas Cage
who can do that and
who can own that
yeah.
and kind of that's his thing, right? Like it works because that Nicolas Cage's mindset is like he's really going for it. He's not just trying to do a Nicolas Cage impersonation. It's like that's what he does, and he loves movies and loves all these classical performances that inspire him to do this. And in this one, it just seemed weird coming out of Jake Gyllenhaal.
It's very weird.
Can I mention two other things about this movie that
course.
drove me crazy?
Yeah.
One, in fight scenes, Michael Bay shoots it so close. He does extreme close-ups on everybody. You have no perspective on what's happening in the fight.
Totally agree with you.
Not only does he edit it too quickly, but he's so close in, the person throwing the punch is zoomed in on, and you don't see where the punch lands until afterwards. I don't understand
the shaky
that.
cam action in this whole movie, not just the little bit of fight scenes you get between the brothers and the ambulance and everything, but when they're in the heist and the camera's moving around and shaking and gunfire's going off, it is so shaky. It's more than a Bourne movie.
You know what line I did like?
But see, in the Bourne movies, because that's where it all started with that
Correct.
shaky cam stuff. But it works. Like they don't use it to hide fight choreography.
No, you'll see a two-shot of them having a fight for a minute or two.
Right. And they use it to the camera does that on impact when somebody gets punched. You know what I mean? Because I was late to the Bourne franchise because it's just not my thing.
Yeah,
Man, the first one's real good.
It was, yeah. But I was like, when I watched it, I was really caught off guard because at that point, then the shaky cam fight scenes were everywhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, but it works here. I'm like, everyone else is stealing the shaky, but they're not doing the other part of it.
Well, I think they started using it to hide your actors. That's what it was.
They used to hide you and to not have to really have a well choreographed fight.
Yes, that's exactly what I thought. I thought,
Yeah.
they didn't, bring the stunt coordinator in. Why? Nobody's going to hit anybody, and we won't see anything.
Yeah,
that's one of it's always on this show. I've said it a billion times. It is the problem with big budget action movies is they don't want to take the chance to let. And look, the Bourne movies, Matt Damon. And I think of that scene in the apartment when he's fighting that guy when the guy jumps out the window.
Yeah,
like that's Matt Damon fighting that guy, right? Because you're right, they do pull back. They let you see Matt Damon doing. I was like, all right, man, like you got it down. And then we like Liam Neeson. I was like, Liam Neeson's not throwing a punch. Like that's ridiculous.
Here's the problem, right? So just like we talked about with Morbius and how it's like, yeah, Morbius isn't the worst superhero movie we've ever seen, but we've seen 20 others recently that are really, really good. We have John Wick now. Like, we know what action movies can be.
Deadpool, John
Fight
Wick,
choreography,
The Raid, all that
reloading,
stuff.
all that stuff. You can make a great action movie and not hide that stuff, and people can train for it, and it looks really good. So it's hard not to
Even the
compare.
Batman. I think there's some great fight scenes in that.
Oh, my gosh. That fight choreography was great between the Batman in the club and when they're going up and down stairs and throwing people and all that.
Stuff.
So we've seen that, and so going back to the old way of shaky action movies just makes you go like, no, we know it can be better.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing I was going to bring up. Do you think anybody walks out of this movie and wonders how they got an earworm of the Christopher Cross song "Sailing" in their head?
It's an odd thing to insert into the middle of it.
Two guys in an ambulance going 70 miles an hour, more than an hour into a high-speed car chase, start singing what is that, 80s hit? 78, 82, something like that.
I think it's early '80s.
Sailing.
Oh, man.
I love me some yacht rock.
That is the definition of yacht rock. It's called sailing.
That is my jam.
But you know what?
But it had no place here.
No.
I do like weird stuff like that, the
1980.
juxtaposition of it.
So 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Because the characters, though, are
42.
like...
You shut up.
I'm
40 from when they made the movie.
That's fair.
Yeah.
We're not counting the COVID years because time was robbed of us.
Yes.
You ain't lying.
Yeah.
But Jake
But everyone in the movie is younger than the song.
Right. But Jake Gyllenhaal's all hopped up and they're in this stressful situation. It's like, I need to calm down, give me my headphones. And like, I do like that it's kind of a break in the chaotic speed
Yeah.
nature.
And then his
of-
brother's like, why don't you give me one of those?
Yeah, give me one of those. And they're doing like,
No.
and it's also to show like these brothers have been apart for so long, but they go right back together. I do kind of like it. It is
Murdering
weird,
people.
but God, I'll take that versus the hour of nonsense that you saw.
But why not a more contemporary song? I mean, I don't know contemporary music, but there must be songs by Alicia Keys, Rihanna, Adele,
Anything else?
anybody.
Well, I mean, I took that as
Well,
like
it's a $40 million movie.
That's true. They had those
I
rights.
took it as
Yeah, the rights to that song take up $5.
the basis for the music that I like comes from my dad, right? Like, so he listened to Keishi and K-Hits and all that stuff. So I was like, okay, that's a song that they listened to growing up is the only thing that makes sense. Like, maybe their dad listens to that song, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Their
Like,
dad,
I mean,
their dad, the sociopathic bank robber extraordinaire.
Loved the song Sailing.
Loved the yacht rock. I mean, it could happen.
He got introduced to Christopher Cross because of the movie Arthur, and then he just loved the whole oeuvre.
Yeah.
I do.
Arthur is delightful. I mean, it holds up except for all the drunk driving.
That's a problem.
There's a scene where he's literally driving his Bentley,
Yeah,
Rolls
I think
Royce.
one of those.
He's just drinking straight from a bottle of Jack or
How
something.
quaint.
Yeah. But I
they
mean,
remake
he's
that?
supposed to be an alcoholic.
Didn't they remake that?
They did with
what's his name?
Brand.
Russell Brand.
Russell Brand.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
you know that sigh we all made at the beginning of this? It's triple that for that movie.
So I think it's kind of also that kind of like that jarring thing, like in The Professional with Gary Oldman when he's listening to classical music, but he's also a psychopath.
I guess.
I think there is kind of
that
some,
works though.
But you know what? This movie, it just reminded me of better movies. I kept thinking of Heat and To Live and Die in L.A.
Oh man, To Live and Die. If you've never seen To Live and Die in L.A.,
that
it
is one of the great. I love that
so
so much.
Oh god, you know there's an alternate ending in that movie.
I think I might have seen it on the special features.
Do they live or die
They live
in L.A.?
They
Well,
live.
which cut? See?
they get away, and it's just like, oh, that's not as good.
But there are so many things in this movie that remind me of both of those, and it just like I could. Be
I might go
watching
watch
those.
that later. Man, I love that.
You should.
movie.
It's so good.
Yeah,
Willem
it's really
Dafoe.
good. Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
A young Willem Dafoe.
Counterfeiting
right?
money. Yeah. Not
yeah,
as young
that's
as
how time works.
Yeah, I mean, like very young.
not as young as Streets of Fire. Willem
Well,
Dafoe,
that's true.
but
Yeah. William Peterson.
yeah, Willem Peterson. Yeah.
So okay, we're gonna do 6. We're gonna hopefully get this in 60 minutes of suck. The ending of this movie. So they realize they're screwed. They're not getting away with this. Jake Gyllenhaal, Yahya has also been shot in the chest. Who I gotta tell you, it looks like he gets shot in the shoulder, and they are making this a big deal.
Yeah, it looked
And I
like a
was
shoulder shot to me.
I'm
or
like
arm or-
the cop that had his guts pulled
I know.
out.
Well, yeah,
literally had his
hold on.
guts pulled
I gotta
out.
go to my note about
Open gut surgery in a van.
three-way FaceTime call in the back of an ambulance with 2 different sets of surgeons, and she is performing at 70 miles an hour in a high-speed chase. Any kind of surgical operation, like you go over one bump.
Yeah.
And that scalpel or whatever goes from his gut to his neck. You know what I mean?
You
It's
couldn't
just-
accurately put a Band-Aid on a person at that speed and
So-
with that going on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
again,
have you ever tried to put a straw in a cup while
during
you're
it,
driving?
yes,
Like that's
driving 30.
Or you're
yeah.
drinking
I
from a
gotta
bottle
drive-
and now your face
I
is
gotta
all
drive
wet.
with. I have to drive with my knees to get that thing in there. Yeah, I guess.
So
Are we still
again,
talking about straws and cups?
Whatever.
Or is it your anniversary?
We'll see.
Okay.
But okay, dumb action movie. The stuff explodes and vehicles and gravity is defied. Whatever, that's fine. But that is just stupid in a bad way to have to do surgery in the back of a high-speed pursuit. That's
The line where they're like, "Okay, be very careful. Be very careful. His
If it-
spleen
if
could
it
explode
ruptures."
at any second," and it explodes, and she goes, "It exploded," and then the cameras die. Like I'm like, don't they have those things plugged in? Like, wouldn't you think that in an ambulance they were like, we're gonna make sure these things.
why was
never
power
die.
sources?
why was
Yeah.
her laptop so low to begin with? The laptop should be one of those like professional grade, like it should
Yeah.
last 20 hours. It should have been plugged in, but it's at 2% when they start this call.
Yeah, by the way, if the spleen explodes, he'll die. Well, the spleen explodes and he doesn't
It
die.
doesn't die.
What kind of doctors are you?
That guy would have died, had so many infections.
Oh,
it's just
He would not have been
Okay.
cognizant.
Also, this EMT, the best in the biz, except for she no one wants to be her partner because
Because why?
she's just a loose
She's
cannon. I don't know. She's
surly.
Yeah.
but she's the
She's
best.
an assertive woman.
She's the best at what she does. Okay, she goes and finds the cop in the garage after Yahya had shot him twice, and he's shot in the leg or whatever. Has he been shot again? The cop goes, I don't know. Okay, puts him in the ambulance. What kind of EMT is she? An hour into this movie, 1 hour in, where's all this blood coming from?
Yeah, that was
he was
rid-
shot in the stomach an hour ago, and now I'm just like, what?
It was terrible.
You would not notice for an hour someone's bleeding out.
She
that
is
much.
not a good enough EMT to be qualified to unbutton a shirt.
Yes, I mean, what?
Oh,
there's-
you didn't pass your.
It's like they say she can keep anybody alive for 20 minutes.
12 minutes.
It's because she's too dumb to declare them dead.
all the
just a
hospitals
paper-
are. All the hospitals are like we just let her keep going.
It's
Like,
just a
she-
paperwork thing.
They
Yeah.
die every time that
like
she
she's
comes
doing his
in.
vitals. They're opening his shirt to defibrillate him. They're doing all this stuff,
Yeah.
but did not notice a gunshot wound to
She.
his abdomen.
It's also crazy at this point in the EMT world. They have I go through trainings every year about how to clear a building, to do things like, and to do one of the things that has become the main focus is first aid. Right. So one of the things they teach us is you try to get the vest, you try to get all the stuff
Yeah.
off, and you take your hands and you run it down like their chest or their legs or whatever. And that way you can see where we're bleeding from. It's
Yeah.
2020. She should know,
I know,
to
that's-
get the stuff. But
this
I
is the
agree. It
writing
was like
problem.
insanely.
This stuff is just dumb, and again, not dumb in a good way. It's dumb in a way that
No.
you cannot possibly suspend your disbelief.
Right.
But so we got to
So, yeah.
mention, but he calls Poppy. He's a part of the.
Oh,
he's like got a
God.
chop shop and all this, and Jake Gyllenhaal says, "Hey, you used to work with my dad. Whatever. We have this relationship. I have $16 million. You can have half. I need you to go and do all this stuff. Drive ambulances. We're gonna do a switch up, which I like that idea because it seemed heisty. Get the ambulances in there, drive different directions.
That is the Italian job,
right. But that's a cool scene. So I like that concept.
Why did they paint it green?
I don't know.
Yeah, if you were gonna
Because
have
if you're going to have a bunch of different,
diversions,
wouldn't- why would you? If you're going to have four
Let's do the one
ambulances,
that's blue or green.
Yeah, I was like waiting for the payoff there. I'm like,
No, it's stupid.
well, yeah. If the whole point is get 5 of their ambulance, but then you paint one.
you paint
One
yours
color,
green.
yeah.
What are you
and
doing?
if you're the cop in the helicopter, there are 5 different ambulances and a blue thing that looks a lot like an ambulance but couldn't possibly be.
Right.
Don't pay any attention to that, whatever you do.
Yeah, it's for this guy that's a criminal mastermind. He's I believe he has robbed 37 banks in 10 years. They've never caught him, although he is the boss of this car museum. Like, it's just weird. But, you know, and the cops, the local LA cops don't know this guy and who he is, yet he's robbed 37 banks in 10 years and just happens to run this business in LA. But okay. So, so there's that part. But then also Poppy is going to set up a car with a mannequin and a Gatling gun.
That was the most ridiculous thing.
That's remote controlled. But then the guys are like 1 block away. They get out of the car, put a brick on it, but they're not like remotely far away.
No.
The cops are like driving by them. They're just standing there with a remote control.
Like, yeah, you dope.
And then, they send one car that has C4 and it explodes. And then they have another car with a Gatling gun. It takes out Captain Not Josh Duhamel. And all these cops are dead at this point. And they've escaped into the warehouse, Poppy's warehouse. It seems like they've gotten away.
Right.
And then, in that whole Gatling gun situation, Poppy's son
gets
dies.
shot.
So now he wants revenge. And he's like, I'm going to keep the cop that you've got in the back of your car and the EMT because she knows our operation.
Right.
And this is where Yahya is like, you know, being a military man, and he really didn't want to get into all this. He's like, well, I can't let these innocent people die. And then
I've killed 40 to 50 cops at this point, but these two in the back are all right.
I mean, for that character though, at least, like, I mean, Yahya shooting the original cop, that was a military response. Like he like double tapped him. You know what I mean? Like that was training. That was instinct.
Okay.
He didn't mean to do that, right? He didn't want. Jake Gyllenhaal's like, well, the guns are just for show and all this. Yeah, right. But you know, I get how he could get mixed up and feel bad and remorse and all that stuff. But anyway, then, you know, Jake Gyllenhaal's like, sorry, I'm just, this isn't my life. And then I guess maybe when they played cops and robbers back in the day, that was like one of their things. But he's like, you want to go
again,
right?
they're like dressed up like cowboys because they're childhood from 20 years ago took place in the 1940s.
Wearing like an old-timey sheriff's
like, what
badge
kid 20 years ago is dressing up in a cowboy outfit?
Yeah.
And also the kids look like they were
right.
The kids also doing it look like they were 14.
That's a good point. I was like 20 years ago. Oh, I was 20, so that's all right.
But kind of a cool, I mean, this is maybe one of the coolest scenes, but I like when he's like, you know, you always wanted to go right and I go left. Why don't we both go left? Go left. But then they just do like
Then they both go left and right.
But whatever they do, but like then they do the back-to-back shootout thing.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of a cool action thing. We've seen it before, but I'm like, all right, let's get some real action going here. Not one of these cartel guys with their automatic weapons, not one can shoot these guys.
No, they're stormtroopers.
Yeah. Well, the cops are stormtroopers.
Everybody's a
the
stormtrooper.
cartel is
A lot of
stormtroopers.
them are stormtroopers.
Oh, they stormed something, all right.
Yeah.
But
I don't mean sci-fi.
but the ridiculous, I'm glad at least some of the people on the heist in the beginning died, because at first they weren't shooting them and they were just in the street.
That one
in the
guy
open.
gets run over and he pulls him out. He's like, oh, no, that's not good.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so the last part of this movie, Yahya ends up shooting Jake Gyllenhaal in the back, which we don't realize either way.
Because Jake's got the Cam at gunpoint. And he's basically like, well, we're both going to die together. He's just full crazy.
He's gone full crazy at this point, yeah.
And Yahya's like, I'm not going to let this happen.
So we've got a black man who is in need of medical assistance, who the police officers are not allowing the EMT to help him be okay.
And they're
while he's in handcuffs.
And they're parked in front of a hospital. Like, the first thing they can do is run out
I'm
there.
I'm sitting there watching this movie, and I cannot believe that this is happening on... Like, it's just... This just happened in the real world. And the studio... I just cannot believe that they were like, no, put it in your movie.
I think because it wasn't written for a black actor.
Oh.
And nobody thought it through.
Yeah, I was going to say...
You know what? That's a good point.
With the casting switch...
If it was Dylan O'Brien, it plays different. The optics are very different.
They switched the casting. They added a few lines to explain their brothers, but they never actually changed the
That's a good
ending.
point.
This is one of those situations where I picture some young, just out of film school person who got a job on a movie as a production assistant, and they go up to Michael Bay and say, do you know that this could be problematic? What do you want me to do? Go back and rewrite this whole movie? I'd have to put in 43 more edits. I can't do that.
It's a lot of edits. I'm at my editing budget.
It was just like I just could not believe that this was like they were putting this in.
What about this line? The FBI agent. Hey, I know this guy. Right now, he's looking for a way out.
Of course he is.
He
Right
just
now.
robbed a bank and is on a high-speed pursuit.
What's been doing the last hour?
Thank you, genius. And then he goes, how do you know that? we used to be friends. It's like, no, because the guy robbed a bank and he's trying to get away. Like, what are you talking about?
I don't need a personal history between the Fed and the robber. Again, this ain't Heat, brother. Yeah. Like, this is not.
God, I wanted to watch it the entire time in the theater. I'm like, God, I want to watch Heat so bad.
Yeah, it's such a good movie. So then the cop is the cop who's been near death this entire time says I guess the Fed asked which one shot you, and it's 2 full-on pictures of these. Oh, that's the other thing. These guys rob a bank using their real names and nothing to cover their face.
Yeah, for a guy that is very smart at planning heists and has robbed 37
in
banks
2022,
in 10 years,
you don't think there's fucking cameras everywhere?
Jake Gyllenhaal is in there and doesn't even wear a mask until
none of them do.
Until they're shooting and they have a stunt double and they have to put a mask on. I mean, which is why they wear masks in movies like this. But like, yeah, all these people just walked in without masks on. Yahya wears one because I think he's definitely like, I don't want to get caught.
He's also
doing this.
the only black guy in this group.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it was the black guy. Like, he's the only one in the group.
But I do think it's ridiculous. You're right, though. They're saying each other's names. They've got the mask on. And I get it. If these are the criminals down on their luck, they have to do a heist or else they're going to lose everything. I get the bumbling idiots. This guy has robbed 37 banks in 10 years. He's the best. The FBI knows him. He went to the academy to learn and study them to know how to get around their stuff.
Which I got to tell you, that's a cool, like, that's the Batman thing, right? Where he went to, he was so smart. He went to Quantico, I guess, and learned how to beat the feds. Well, he sucks at his job because Jesus.
But yeah, his plan is so stupid without those. So yeah, it just doesn't jive with their story for him and his expertise and all that. But I mean, I get what Michael Bay's trying to do, right? You've got the veteran that's been forgotten by his country. You've got, he gets roped into this the last second and makes bad decisions where obviously he shouldn't have, but he was desperate for his wife and child. And then in the end, it's like, well, he was trying to save the EMT. He was doing all this to save their lives. And, does he get a second chance? And
no,
but that's what he's trying to do with this scene. Is it's like, well, the cop then knows because the EMT's like, he saved your life and whatever.
He also shot him.
Thank you. He's also driving an ambulance and just
destroying everything.
People.
Like, do you think the cop would really be that kind-hearted after being shot?
If you want to do that, there's a line that Cam has to say where she says he was at gunpoint. You could say anything. Like, if you want to try to redeem Yahya at this point, you got to give him a line where basically the cop and Cam, because Jake Gyllenhaal's dead at this point, so he has no word. They have to say he was being held at gunpoint to do all of this.
Yeah. But he still drove over all those fruit carts. Bring him in.
Right. Well, yeah, that's what he's really. It's like
You're
Al
the reason
Capone.
the avocado prices went up. Yeah. You jerk.
No, it's Al Capone. That's how they get him. Well, we don't have him for anything else. But see all those fruit carts he destroyed? Lock him away.
Yeah.
But at the end, Jake Gyllenhaal goes, "My brother did do nothing wrong." Like, I think with all the things together, they planted enough where you could, she could say
that guy
tried to save everyone. Jake Gyllenhaal said, he didn't do anything wrong. I roped him into it. Like,
that dude's going to jail.
He's going to jail.
Yeah.
But that decision at the end by the cop when he said, which one of these guys shot you? And he doesn't say that he didn't shoot him, but he says he saved my life and he says nothing else. Then it's like, well, what do they really have him for? Lesser charges.
Now that I think about it, at the beginning of the scheme where Yahya first shows up and he meets, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah,
and
the
they're
5
talking
minutes
about
before
that.
they're going to leave. Yeah.
Exactly. What if Yahya had not showed up?
Right.
Apparently, there was no other getaway driver.
No, there was
what was the plan at that point?
That's no idea.
We have the $32 million in bags. No one's coming after us, but we still have to get away.
Also, that guy looked nothing like Mel Gibson. What was that joke?
I mean, I guess they were saying that he looked like a guy from Braveheart, but he also looks nothing like Mel Gibson.
He's a goon from Central Casting, and he has a beard, so he must be Braveheart. Like, and then Stone Cold Steve Austin, the cop. Like, these guys, like,
hey, can we get Steve Austin for this? They're like, no.
But can we get
He's too expensive.
Can we get stereotypical hard ass looking cop?
Oh
guy?
yeah, we got plenty of those.
I don't know. The jokes like that in the movie, like the Braveheart joke, which like Jake Gyllenhaal's like, I'm not working with Mel Gibson. Like, it comes back around again. It's like, that's not a good joke because Mel Gibson doesn't look like that in Braveheart.
Especially now. Also, Mel Gibson's got like a big old bushy gray beard, but doesn't look anything. He had long hair in Braveheart. This guy had a buzz cut.
It's a weird joke.
I was surprised when the gang member was putting the Gatling gun in that car next to the dummy that somebody didn't say, "Where'd you learn how to do that?" Breaking Bad, man.
Yeah.
The last episode. Oh, you spoiled it for me. Cut. And by the way, that was 16 cuts in what I just said.
This movie sucked. It had some stuff that I enjoyed. I think, like I said, the practical effects I think are great when they're done right. The cuts are atrocious. This is a big old $40 million though. Well done.
Yeah, it does not look like a $40 million movie.
No.
Have we praised anything about this movie? Can we even think of one
The child
thing?
actors.
The child actor was really good. The practical effects were good.
I give them credits for using practical effects, but again, I've seen so many better car chases and explosions and stuff. The action wasn't coherent enough, and the car chases, no matter how many angles they had on it with their quick cuts, it wasn't impactful enough because you didn't have long enough to go. That was impressive.
Right.
You were just like boom, 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 edit, edit, edit. And so I don't even think it was good for action. Like Michael Bay, we know can do it.
I don't. You know what? I don't know that he can anymore.
But that's becoming questionable. You're right.
Yeah.
But I just mean that we know he's had it in him. And those Bad Boys movies, the first two that he directed, like those have some great action in them.
Sure. The Rock is an amazing action movie. Like that is almost it's incredible.
Yeah. I haven't seen it since high school. I don't
go back and rewatch it.
It's a popular movie.
Oh man, it's great.
Does he reference any other movies he made?
No, because he hadn't made any yet.
Oh.
Did he reference any of his music videos?
Oh, all the time.
Okay.
Yeah. That's how he gets the rights to his music. He's like, no, I did that video. Like, that's all right.
I get to use it whenever I want, right?
Right.
That's a shame. I think this could be really fun. I think the original movie is a good premise. I mean, Michael Bay adds all this action to it. They had the simple car chases, but he beefs it up with the helicopters and all that. But at the end of the day, it just felt like it looked cool, and you couldn't believe they would be doing any of that with helicopters getting so close to the ground and civilians. Like, just the things that they were doing were like, what is your end game here? They've got 2 hostages. Let's keep like sending helicopters in to scare them. Like, what is that going to do?
Dumb.
You can't blow them up because they've got hostages.
Right.
Where are you going with this? And
I've never understood helicopter chasing car in a movie as scaring the people in the car for any reason, unless they have guns that can shoot down at the car. What does a flying helicopter have to do? I'm going to keep driving on this road.
That's what I'm saying. And they can't shoot him because they've got hostages. And then Jake Gyllenhaal is shooting at the helicopter. He just put those helicopter pilots at risk to buzz them, scare them, whatever.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a good movie.
No.
No.
Not at all.
No.
So, well, anyway, I guess that's it for this one.
Whew.
We didn't get it into 60
I
minutes
know.
to suck,
God
but
dang it.
don't think that means it didn't suck.
Yeah.
Just to be clear.
Have no fear.
Yes.
Yeah,
There's
right.
just too much suckage where we had to go on and on about it.
You know what, Kevin? If you can get 2 other editors, you can get this down to 60 minutes.
No, we're gonna go. Actually, if you got 2 other editors like Michael Bay movies, you'd get this up to an hour 40.
But Michael Bay says in interviews, like, all those cars flipping, it's real. That's live.
It looked real.
It looks very dangerous and could be dangerous. He said that. And then he said some of the CGI is in this movie. There's a couple of shots I wasn't happy with. Okay, all right. He got really mad about whatever.
All right, you got me, you jerks.
Yeah, whatever CG he did.
It's terrible.
So anyway, I guess that's it for this one. Let's go around the table and everyone can say where to find them.
This is Joe. You can follow me on the Twitter at JoeyButts, BUTTS21.
This is Kevin. Follow me on Twitter at KevinRBrackett and watch Heat.
And Paul, where can they find you?
On my website, harrisonline.com.
And this time you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online, facebook.com/Real Spoilers. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and of course, don't forget our Patreon. So that's it for this one. Coming up next week, Fantastic Beasts and the Harry Potter of cash grabs.
Not the Northman.
I would vote for the Northman or Everything Everywhere All at Once. Both those movies are
the Northman
supposed to be amazing.
I've seen it.
You've seen it?
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. I don't know. We shall see. But anyway, that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, Speed gets reinstated to the police force.
Get ready for a spoiler. Won't say it twice, 'cause we always